Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Forward to the Sky. Let's continue. So we kind of breezed through that last level. So now we're on to level 5. I think we've pretty well determined that the witch, quote unquote, has her under control by the crystals. So the crystals might be the bad guy, which inherently we're collecting the crystals to get the backstory, so it's kind of funny for the crystals to implicate themselves, but one assumes that they don't have any ability to stop you from getting the truth, or maybe you don't get the truth. This is a large level of dangers, where the last level was kind of surprisingly missing on, very light on danger. It's just a laser puzzle. Like, you can definitely feel that the idea here of having lasers got thrown out, and they made one where there were laser puzzles, and then they made another where there were dangerous lasers. And on top of that, they must have run out of 3D levels that they had designed, because it's really not necessary to have a rolling boulders also.
It turns out people put their fears onto the witch. But maybe it's the witch controlling the crystals to make the humans erode away? It's not me.
See, you see in her head, she has a crystal in her head, just like all the skeletons, except for the ones that have helmets. But clearly they're all carrying crystals. And all these humans, all these skeletons were humans. This is gonna be kind of a nightmare scenario though, because there's a lot of opportunity to die. And you don't want that. Like, even though this is a short game, you don't want to embrace the old NES trick of making games impossible to beat after certain levels. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle strategy is an example of that, where there are just actual sections that are either nearly impossibles or actually impossible. Some of the games are actually impossible. Right. Almost certainly this back attack, this backflip, is intentionally made for to dodge that wizard's attack, but I don't think he'd ever actually pull it off. We're gonna just increasingly have more and more damage that we take. Okay. Is there any collectible over there? Yes, there is. So I'm gonna have to run, fall to your death. And then I wouldn't be surprised if it puts a checkpoint in a fairly poor place. What we didn't learn in the last level was any way to dismantle or shut off these crystals. And we've seen multiple variants on what a crystal is and looks like, which is also annoying. Alright, am I at a distance now where nothing will hit me? For a while. I can make it to this next platform. I'm safe. I can make it here and be relatively safe. Apparently not that safe though. Okay. Now, is it even worth an attempt to try and make the jump, or should I just fall to my death? Let's just fall to our death. I think I'm trying to save as much health as possible. Okay. Just... I think I can just run and jump over this way. Probably do that in one full jump. Just run and jump this way. Jump over here and get to that.
The skeletons used to be the residents of this tower.
This is probably a checkpoint.
The skeletons corrode. They're attacking humans. But the legend says the witch makes the crystals attack the people. The legend seems so different from the truth.
We're at 34 crystals, which could mean we're at a decent amount of crystals or not. Here we have a button that swaps the direction of this guy walking on the cube. So what am I supposed to be doing here? He kind of walks backwards. And I think that means I'm supposed to jump on here. And then I just walk backwards.
Please believe me. I've never hurt anyone.
Witch,
I just want to protect them, but
could it be that something happened after everyone gathered where you live?
I only
Come on.
want to protect them.
I gotta get all the magic users gone, or they will wreck me. I can effectively fight every single skeleton because their attacks are so pathetically small. And I'm not sure I've actually been hit by any of those attacks. Right, so 49 tells me I'm either missed one or we're gonna see another skeleton on top of a rolling boulder. Right. Can we safely make it all the way up here without getting squashed? Stay in the shadows and we'll be safe. That should get us to 74. We're gonna be in a bad position if I missed exactly one skeleton. The problem here.
I will soon find the witch.
Princess, you mustn't go on.
Witch, I will find you.
I forgot about the
Witch, what's happening?
non-witch voice, the monster's voice. But we are really just getting the exact same story, it feels like. Okay, so there's a crystal. And that just resets it, I guess. And the backflip certainly proves itself to be useful there. That turned down some of the danger. But not all the danger. It's here. Jump back this way. I mean, in theory, the boulder itself should stop the lasers. Yep. It did. Okay. Why did I need to do that, though?
Don't hurt her. She's just a child. Quickly go.
What's happening? Witch!
Okay. So I get to call the ball up there. Fine. But I can't get on top of the boulder now. I don't think you can push these. Yeah, they don't move like that. So I don't get the idea here. Like, I need to get up to that position. There's no way to get up to that position that way. There's no reason to go that way. Maybe I could do something like this to get over here. Sure. But then what? You shoot that down. And what? What's the trick there? Just got two big boulders. See what happens over here. It's just another platform to get up. Well, let's think this through and see what the trick here. It's like I can hit that and then I could use that boulder certainly to get around different locations. And it does kind of feel like those boulders don't do anything. And I don't think that there's a way we're getting up to the top here if anything, I imagine the exit is just around this corner. Okay. So let's roll this back this way. I'll be very careful not to fall off. How could one get up here? Like, you have this little platform, but also I've taken damage on little platforms before. And that's not going to get me high enough. And these are one-way triggers. And I don't think I could really jump all the way through that. See if there's a pathway or something. Right. No, it is a case of I need to get this here. Okay. And then I need to get this way. Okay. And then that's not the one we want. We've got to hit the trigger down there and be able to get up here, which I think I can do actually using this platform. Alright. Just make sure it's standing there. Get to that point. Then get up here. Looks like you could jump over there too. Alright. It seems like the physics here don't inherently keep you in the center on the top of the sphere, but it doesn't seem like it really matters. It's not applying any weird physics or anything to it. And that would have worked if I had been more centrally located, so. Alright, well. I guess the good news is any mistakes can be corrected fairly well. This is a solution, but I don't know if this is ever going to be as smooth of a solution as one would like. This could just always be fairly awkward. I center it a little bit more. Walk backwards. Alright. And I'm gonna just try and powerhouse through this. There we go. Back jump. And that gets us all 100 crystals in this level. So now all I have to do is, in my remaining 364 life, manage to not die miserably. I don't know if that ball will be able to be ridden. I mean, I kind of need it to be able to be written because you can't just run. There we go. Okay. Okay. Just gotta be careful to go to the left. Then we don't want to get too close. Then we want to rotate the camera to go to the right. Then go backwards some more, and then rotate the camera to go to the left. Okay. Will I get hit? Yes. So, to be fairly careful here. It's probably pretty hard to actually take damage in this, though, because you'd have to let the top path of lasers, and only the top path of lasers, come in contact with you. That being said, I just managed to have that happen.
The witch should be up ahead. Come on, I will certainly find the witch.
She keeps calling her the witch, but honestly, it feels much closer to she's planning on saving the witch than slaying the witch. Although, we may very well have gotten considerably less dialogue had we not gotten all the collectibles. There might very well be a bad ending to this game where the player would have not gotten any of that information and not cited. Yeah. But in a weird way, that you are kind of punishing the good players of the game by effectively having them listen to what I would classify as not the best dialogue in the world. Come on, come on. Well, doesn't seem like it's actually doing massive amounts of damage with these lasers, that certainly does me a favor. I doubt we're going to see much of a big reveal. 2 more achievements. So for 6 levels, you're going to get a minimum of 12 achievements. Frenzied, the mob trashed the crystal grove that sheltered the witch, smashing everything they could. The crystals were enraged. They rose up into the air and attacked the mob. The witch tried to calm the crystals, but to no avail. She tried to stop the crystals, but the people thought she was commanding them to attack. The people fled, and in their chaotic retreat, no one saw the crystals take control of her. Which, yeah, that does make sense. And here, once again, we have the witch in the same 90s/baby doll thing. And then particularly in this way it's being animated, she's barely got any coverage as far as her chest. And they almost certainly put the swath of hair in front of her just to not over genderize, over sexualize the image. That they probably didn't want to go in that direction, particularly since in an English localization, Western localization, you can see 2 characters that once again look like young people, kids really, running away. All right. And see, I think
Witch, I have found you!
that's going to leave us with a boss fight.
Rescue you!
Quickly.
Quickly go! There's no way to get near the crystal! I must think of a way to break the crystal!
Okay, so we're going to break the crystal and rescue the witch. Like I thought, the story is going to change completely. Here you can see these big columns are targeting you. Apparently we're supposed to get 100 crystals. I wonder if we're getting them by attacking these guys. Well, that seems like that's the case. But do we need to know more story, really? And with every bit of damage you take, you are... this guy's just running away from me. With every bit of damage you take, you're lowering your chances of winning the final boss fight. It's kind of shocking that there is even a final boss fight here. It seems like I actually won't trigger the final boss fight until I go and attack the crystal. And seems like the crystal is trying to be defended by the floating columns. A lot of destructible environment. Totally. Right, so now I am fully encircled by it. Okay. Inside the crystal you can see the witch. And every time something crashes into it, it is giving me more crystals to break the crystals. This would be weird. This would be weird if this turns out to not be a boss fight.
We won't let them hurt our home.
What? How can this be? The crystals are controlling the witch! There must be a way to save the witch! I must defeat the crystals!
So we're trying to break the crystals. And
Our turn to protect her.
we're taking massive amounts of damage. These guys are a hassle. Probably is easier to take them out this way. Too ambitious, frankly. And when you know that the like next game they create, that this game developer created, is Panty Party, that does really just like scream, oh yeah, they figured out that it was too ambitious here. I don't know if I'm supposed to be hitting her, but there's kind of no other options. And that was a whole bunch of crystals.
We want to rescue the witch! The witch wants to return to the human realm!
You won't fool us.
Didn't understand the witch! If only they understood her, they certainly would have accepted her!
And you can see quite a lot of phases.
We'll be mean to her again!
You're strong. We can't trust you. To rely on your strength. Weak child.
If this is the way it is,
See, and this is another situation where the phases of this fight are going to potentially give you the crystals, so we kind of know that unless I'm really careful, I'm gonna die and then have to fight all over again. Like, this would be the perfect time to throw in a new health regeneration ability, because I have not really been playing the game well enough. Some repetitive sound effects. I needed to get up there and hit her. Alright, so need to move fast so that we can attack. Otherwise it's gonna fade out from under you. Like, the game is trying to be helpful, really, but I'm not taking advantage of it. Plus, you don't have a flying attack, remember, so if I'm not careful, I'll fall right off the edge. I can't jump. Yeah, that's just too wonky. That is slightly too wonky here. We're hoping, I would hope that there's only one hit here that I need to do. Nope. That's more than one hit. I suppose these are supposed to be like crystal arms. I got 100. So we saved the witch. And that's the end of the game, as it were. And I guess you can't get the bad ending probably without playing the level and not getting all the crystals. The princess learned the history of the crystals and found the witch at the top of the floor of the tower. She wanted to help the witch and free her from the crystals. Without the power of the crystals, the tower began to collapse. The princess jumped into her balloon in haste as the witch fell through the clouds with the tower ruins. The balloon floated toward the witch, darting through the falling rubble. The princess grabbed the witch by her hand, and the witch held on with all her heart and strength. And here we can see the witch again without a crystal in her head. And we do get, at the end of this story, a princess who is actually worthy of praise and adoration, not because she's on a pointless quest to attack and kill a harmless witch who was in a completely different area, but because she found out the truth and saved someone. Is there another part of the story now? Because we got 100%. Otherwise, we may have had to we may have to try and play the game a second time. Legend has it the Sky Tower lived a witch. Alright, so we're just getting all the story here. So we get the full story as it is, slowly scrolling by. Perhaps not slowly scrolling enough for most people to read. A decent story that is betrayed by the fact that there just isn't enough downtime, enough levels between each part of the conversation and the revelations. It is a one-note story, definitely. It feels like something you would tell as a fairy tale over the course of 15 minutes, not a game that you would want to take a couple hours to play. Uh, Level design is the number one thing that could have improved this game. Just remove the voice acting, remove the boss fight at the end, have a good ending at which you collect all the crystals um, and you save her by just collecting all the crystals, no boss fight at the end, and then have a bad ending where you don't collect all the crystals and the witch kills you, or you get corrupted by the crystals or something like that. That for an indie game, having a bad ending that was a dissatisfying ending wouldn't have really been a problem. They could have easily gotten rid of the magic user skeletons and the archery skeletons and the sword with shield skeletons and just had the basic skeletons throughout the game. Just more of them in more of a variety, particularly if you're trying to save budget so you can have more levels, which that's what it needed. Every single level shows you a concept that gets used only once. And for the first level, the spikes, that's not really a big deal, but the rolling boulders concept should have happened more. And here we have our final ending that's new, showing the backs of both characters. The witch watched the sky tower fall, and the princess returned to her kingdom to a cheering crowd. She was recorded the unforgettable story in a book. The young girl returned with the princess and lived in her kingdom. Sometimes in the sunlight, her body glimmered with the soft blue radiance of the crystals. The girl and the princess became friends, and together they recorded the history of the Sky Tower. Not long after, new adventures would unfold, and that's a promise certainly not as of yet kept by this game developer. The idea of a princess running around and in a balloon and doing some platforming and some action hack and slashing is not a bad idea ever. You can definitely feel the idea that this would have potentially have been a RPG game at some point that they were working on where you would play as a princess, and they just didn't get very far with it. Again, an RPG game that would have been far too ambitious for the first game from a developer. You don't really get a great way to zoom in on these images if you really cared. So is there any way to get a bad ending? I don't think there really is. Because, like, if you go in this way and you just try to die, that's you're close to.
Princess, don't come near me.
I will rescue you!
Quickly go.
So if I just stand here.
Get rid of crystals! I must think of a way to break the crystal!
Yeah, you could have just broken the crystal with that mechanic and gotten rid of the rest of the fighting mechanics, and that would have just given you more time and more budget to make more levels. Like, I would have definitely pulled away from the voice acting. I would have definitely pulled away from the different enemies. Of course, it's very possible that a lot of the content that we are seeing was developed well before this was a 3D platforming game at all. She takes forever to die, and you can see they're not modifying their attack at all. The one in the distance is doing the long range attack, the two next to me are doing the exact same attack. And this will be the first time we die. I can't imagine that there's... No, actually, I think this is the second time we died. I can't imagine that there's any more achievements that I haven't gotten. So, what do you say about the first game from what I'd consider an indie developer? I don't know if they consider themselves. It's a fluid concept. When you have a game like this, it's a good game. It doesn't really compare to a double A or a triple A game by any means. This would be definitely what I would call a single A game, in the sense that it is a either independent game or just designed to be a small game. If this was on cell phones, it would have worked perfectly fine. It would be nice to have seen it be successful, but there's really no reason why it would have been an amazingly successful game. But had it been successful, then they could have easily put in more levels and expanded the concept, or tried to make a sequel that was twice as ambitious and much more fleshed out as a concept. But it is what it is, and what it is all right, but not great. It's a hard game to really recommend unless you just want a small experience. That it's not like the platforming is perfect. If you compare this to A Hat in Time, I would definitely recommend playing A Hat in Time first, which is a 3D platformer game that I didn't particularly like, but it was still had way more levels and way more content than this. Same would be true for Ukulele, where that's yet another platformer where I didn't quite fall in love with it. This game does have that advantage in that it is short and sweet, so any complaints don't become nibbling arguments in your mind throughout the 60 hours you might experience a game. But yeah. And certainly it would be weird to go play Panty Party now in comparison to it. Like, I'd be fine with playing Panty Party, but it is definitely a different type of game. It is also, I suppose, worth mentioning that since this game has come out, the amount of games from Chinese developers who have been spending decades making NES clone style games has skyrocketed, because Steam is slowly making progress to have a storefront, a firewalled storefront in China. So we've seen massive amounts of games that look a lot like these games, massive amount of games that look a lot worse than this game too, but the room for a small, short experience has just been completely crowded out now. I don't think a game like this would even be noticed if it came out in modern time. So more and more games are going to have to become niche. More and more games are going to have to become visually appealing to the maximum possible level, and not look like cell phone games, and not be simplistic games. Even if this was a cell phone game, it's just far too few levels. Anyways, that's going to be it for this series. If you want to check out any of the other series of games I've covered, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist tab with a playlist for every game I've ever covered, so go check that out. If you want to support me, I always ask you to like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff that all YouTubers ask. Or you can friend and follow me on other social media sites to actually get notifications, which there's a bunch of links down below. And if you really, really want to support me, down below there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist, or gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.